Push your button in, raise a high idle. Let it sit there, it's got some nasty exhaust. We've been fighting this boat non-stop. Where we got water coming from, or is that the water you poured in there?
Probably the water I poured in there.
I wonder why that shit hasn't drained out. Will you turn the bilge pump on? Let's find out.
I just turned it on. I can't hear it over here.
Yeah. Well, James just got finished putting this brand new fuel control unit on. $1,200 part. And now we got it running. The next step is getting this all cleaned up. We're gonna let it idle for about a half an hour. Then we're gonna go put it in the water. Yeah, let it sit at that idle because the exhaust coming out of the engine is nasty. Like it was never water flushed at all. So, all right. I'm gonna go raise the bow up a little bit more. I don't know if I can. Yeah, we get a little bit more. I think I'm gonna put this in the water today. So you asked what's wrong with it. I'll walk over here and I'll show you guys the part. Yesterday's show was brought to you by Jackery. All right, so this is the original fuel control unit. It has, if you remember in the video, I was hitting this to allow the fuel pump to bypass. This is also a water separator. So you have a low pressure and a high pressure pump. So your fuel comes in through the fuel filter right here, goes through the fuel filter into the low pressure pump. The low pressure pump, and this body here goes through a cooler. This is a cooling assembly right here. There's a water line here and there's another water line there. See, water comes in and then out. This way the whole fuel assembly is cooled. It goes into this pump, and this is your lift pump. So this pump is what sucks the fuel from your fuel tank, delivers it to this module. So we had to make sure that we didn't have any air in here, that we had a perfect seal. We cleaned the surface off. We put that on and made it right. Well, that fuel then goes over to this body, okay, and then goes into this pump. Again, there's cooling for the fuel before it goes to the engine. This pump would come on, but this pump would not. So to buy this entire assembly, we had changed all these O-rings all the way around. We tried taking these screws off to pull the assembly top and bottom. Couldn't do it without destroying this part here. This is a $600 core charge. We paid the $600 just so that we could have the pump immediately. And if we destroy this in any way, we don't get the money back. But what I think we're going to do is pay the core charge. I'm going to replace this pump. This is a shrink wrap pump assembly right here. And then that way we have a spare in case our customer ever has this problem ever again. That way he never gets stuck waiting, because these are on back order. Volvo has over 85 of these nationwide on back order right now. The only way that we got a pump was by going to a marina that had diagnosed the system bad, had ordered the parts for it, and only because of the struck of God going and saying, hey, let me give you this contact. They said we'd ordered all the parts. They had it in stock. They ended up not fixing the guy's boat, and he sold the boat. So we got the part and then had it shipped next day air. So that's what's on the boat running right now. The whole brand new assembly, $1,288. As you hear, it's running. Anybody want a treadmill? Got one for sale. I'm so happy that it's running. I know Tom will be too. He's had his whole family put their summer on hold just to get this boat. And then we got to rebuild the trailer, but we got to put it in the water to get the water line on it. And then once I get the water line on the boat, then we'll bottom paint it, get all the parts that we've ordered for this trailer installed, and then we'll get this boat delivered to him ASAP. Awesome, awesome. Hey, check that out. You know, if you don't fill this up with oil, so today I need to start working on the toolbox. You can see I'm sweating my ass off. Got all my tools up here. So today's plan is to get the toolbox in order. Get the table yesterday. You saw me put all that shit on. Oh, a lot of you guys didn't see how much work I'd done yesterday. So I'll go do that real quick. We got this whole area cleared out. All the steel is on the side of the building where we don't need it. We moved this shelving in it from over here to right there. Again, this gives me the full length of the bay. If you recall, I had all this metal all the way right here, and we could barely fit a Bronco in here. Now, when we're done with the boat, we can back it in here, have the full length of the shop, and yeah, we got it looking much better. And then James got the other side of the shop all cleaned up. I even got the Miata inside. So we got the Miata inside, my motorcycle, the Mercedes we don't talk about. Anybody want some cowlings for a tunnel hull race boat? I'm gonna put those up there on the ceiling later today. And then there's the tables all nice and cleaned off. And then we'll get these bolts and extra wheels and tires put away. I don't think we need the heater, so we'll put that away as well. Here's the Bronco. Once again, this Bronco might be for sale. Yeah, and this is just the front shop. For those of y'all who haven't seen the back shop. Hey, hold on a second. James got it started. I gotta give him a beer. Be right back. loading up my toolbox. Let me know if you need anything. I said I'm loading up my toolbox with all the shit left out. I know, man. Don't we all need a beer? Woohoo! All right, I'm going to back up and see some of these comments. Oh, it is humid today. It's funny, Justin. Now that boat belongs to a customer that the father lives. The father lives here in South Carolina. The son lives in Long Island, New York. So he's been paying for his slip. But the boat's been in let me get back up a little bit. The boat has been in storage for 5 years. So for 5 years he thought he was taking care of his boat. It just, it doesn't work out that way. You can't just leave a boat. Hold on. Gotta answer this real quick. My customer's like, what? My channel. Share. Chats. Done. You can't just leave a boat sitting, especially if it hasn't been flushed out properly. If you had any kind of ethanol content fuel, we had to do so much just to purge that fuel system. I mean, it was brutally bad. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how putrid the fuel was that came out of that boat. And when you have fuel like that, there's no way to get the entire fuel system clean without taking everything apart. We pulled the injectors. We, put a high pressure cleaning system through it, where you hold electricity open on the injectors and just flood the motor with the spark plugs out while spinning it over. And then of course you got to change the oil, and that literally just gives the entire engine a Marvel Mystery Oil bath. Especially when you've been letting an engine sit for so long, moisture builds up in cylinders. It was in a garage in an enclosed area that saw climate changes. So if you take an engine and you dry start it without hazing the injectors, without hazing the cylinders full of some type of lubricant, you can fracture the ring, you can grind down the edges of the ring. Rust is a bad thing. And when we pulled the spark plugs out, we saw the spark plugs were nasty. We knew that we couldn't turn the motor over without doing that. Knowing that the motor sat for more than 2 or 3 years, my judgment was we got to pull it apart. I mean, not pull the whole motor apart, but we got to pull the plugs out, read the plugs. Your plugs are the sensor that tells you what's wrong all the time. I don't care if you have a $10,000 fuel system on it. The plugs are always the determining factor. Any racer will tell you that. Any professional tuner will tell you that. Because each cylinder breathes differently, no matter what. Anyway, knowing all of that information, we went through and we started this process of elimination. I mean, we've got probably 15, 20 hours in it, easy. So, but it saves from destroying an engine. And those engines right now are thousands and thousands of dollars. And then you're looking at the labor is another, $2,000 or $3,000 just to pull it out and put it back in. So it's not something that's very simple if you don't take the time to do it right. So just seeing it fire up we're ecstatic. We flush the fuel system out. We put fresh fuel in it, not ethanol fuel. And not that if you're gonna, and let me back that up. All of these fuel systems on these new boats, they can run ethanol fuel. They can. But here's the problem. You don't want to let it sit, because ethanol is a hygroscopic chemical. It means it absorbs water and moisture, and it doesn't separate it well enough that it can burn it. So you have to add isopropyl alcohol, and that breaks down the water molecule so that it will pass through the filter and be burned by the engine. That's why iso heat, and we stock it by the case, is one of the things we use a lot in the shop when working on a customer's boat. So let me get to some of your comments. No, this is not this is boat we call Baby Chap. Baby Chap is because we have a bigger chaparral. This is a 23, 24 footer. We have the 28 footer, which is the one I sold that has the twin Holley fuel injected 383s in it. Yeah, Kelly, definitely a hot mess. Is it a tax write-off? Is what a tax write-off? Not paying for or paying the core charge on the fuel pump? No, the customer's going to pay for that if he wants the fuel pump, plus if we rebuild it. Yeah, so most likely we'll put that boat in the water today. James is finishing up checking the power steering pump. It was whining a little bit, which is, if it had any moisture that got into the power steering system, it will whine, because then it's having, molecular breakdown of the oil, so to speak. Let me go back to some of your other questions. Have your mods get the flow chart out, right? No, Volvo engines are actually really good. Okay, let me explain something. Volvo engines, Mercury engines, they're virtually the same. They're both typically a General Motors assembled engine, a marinized engine by General Motors. The differences lie in the outdrives. Mercury uses their outdrives, Volvo uses their outdrives. The Volvo outdrive has been proven to be stronger than a typical Mercury Alpha. Well, it's definitely stronger than a Volvo SCX drive is, or not SCX, SX drive is definitely much stronger than, say, the Mercury Alpha. And I would probably put money on it that the SX Volvo drive has much better machining tolerances, much better assembly tolerances than the Bravo, hands down. Because the SX drive, which is their duoprop drive, is the only one I've ever seen last behind an LSA engine or an LS3 engine without coming apart like I have seen Bravos. Yeah, okay, so that's a trailer company, and what they do is they cut the beams right behind the fenders, and then they extend the bunks out 5 feet behind the boat. I mean, it's such a bullshit way to save money on a trailer. I mean, Westco does that. There's a lot of companies that do that, and it's just, they're junk, shitty trailers. I always build the trailer so it goes all the way out to the end. She definitely doesn't get it from me. Where's the wedding cake vodka? Yeah, that would probably be true. Thanks, Bree. Love you too. Bree, you need to make some margaritas. Just saying. Bree, you got to put your margarita channel up. That way everybody can follow your Instagram. I can't give you the dirt on the Mercedes. If y'all know me and my racing history, I was sponsored by them. It's just one extra vehicle. And my daughter won't drive a Mercedes. I mean, she would if it were free, but there's no miles on the car. Exactly. Hashtag save the manuals. The car will auto start it. We have it programmed. Yeah, neglect is expensive. Neglect is very expensive. She's out of booze. Wait, you already... I gave you a whole gallon of vodka. Come on, how can you be out of booze already? Anyway, I just want to give it a little short video on what we discovered on the boat, what we went through to get it running, all the work James has put into it. You're out of the South Carolina vodka already? Ooh. Oh, okay. That's better than Tito's. Hands down better than Tito's. Anyway, y'all have a great day. We got some work to do. We're going to get this boat in here. I've got to weld up the tongue on the trailer because the brake system on it's just junk. Yeah, you can't make a vodka margarita. No, but you can get that lemonade stuff or that watermelon stuff or blueberry stuff that Sharon buys, and it's badass. So anyway, I just want to appreciate you guys coming out here, hanging out, watching this video. Give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions, put it in the comments of the video. And once again, God bless you all, and God bless America. Thank you.